What's up, my people? And welcome again to According to the Lie. And that's According to the Spacebar Lie. You might have to really search down for my platform. It gets kind of lost, but I'm there. It's time again for some real talk with Mr. O. And I want to pick up that conversation I said I'd share with you. I broke away from it from last week when I talked about the clear people. I want to get back on it. And I want to get back in discussing with you the attack on the black man Georgia mass incarceration agenda, aka anti-gang law. Yes, it became law the summer of 2020 due to the pandemic. It made it on through with very little fanfare. And thanks to the pandemic, or unthanks to the pandemic, it could have been a lot more treacherous, a lot more devastating than, whatever they were devising for it to be. Since the media was on nonstop, total overkill with the telling us about the pandemic, nothing else could make it into the media cycle. So that's what happened with there. But the governor got it through. Him and his cohorts, his political henchmen, these arch demons that seem to have a nice little thing going on as it relates to us. But without saying that, let's get on into our discussion. Of course, I like to share with you this. Even though not many keep doing it, I'm going to keep doing it as much as I can. I'm going to get away from it eventually, but I'm going to share the fair use. I want to quote it and cite it here because I need to protect myself because, yes, based on the research and that I've been doing, I have some comments. I have some criticism. I have some things that I need to share with you based on what the media has been putting out there. And thanks to this fair use disclaimer of the Copyright Act of 1976, I can use that copyrighted material, be it broadcast or print. Again, the media, the white corporate media, is designed and set up and set in place to lead us away from the truth, to lead us into confusion, to look to it for clarity, which it'll never give. And that's the reason why I have this platform going, family, because I know the media is putting lies out there to induce thought control. And that's where I want to go next, talking with you about that thought control that's happening in the media. Let's get into that. Family, why are we always in La La Land? Why are we always under the illusion that everything is fine? We have overcome. Now, not all of us are in this La La Land. Many of us are very much aware that if there's a lie, there's a major lie happening. There's a major lie that has been construed. But for some, there are others who seem to be the well-to-do, as I say, the clear people, those professionals, those political pundits, especially the political pundits. And in that discussion last week, I left out the entertainment and athletes. These groups of people seem to be the group that they keep putting in front of us to make us think, hey, everybody is the clear people, especially in the entertainment and especially in the political arena, that everything is fair. We've overcome. America's not about bad as it used to be. The illusion of American progress is that, hey, we've left everything, all of that in the past. Segregation is over, Jim Crow is over, redlining is over, denial of access to public, I would say, funding in terms of loans or access to capital. All of that is over. Everything is equal. Slavery is over. What are you guys bickering about? Leave that in the past. Family, that's thought control. We're way past mind control. We're in the thought control now. And that thought control, as it says here, is the psychological warfare that we are in. We're engaged in. The real battle is in the mind. I think I shared with you this article. Let me bring that up. This article about, bring that up real quick, let me clean my whiteboard off, family, that shows how the battle is really in the mind. Look at this article again. This article deals with, how the British used the media for mass psychological warfare. Again, I want to just touch on that. I shared with you in the part that conversation I had before the Clear People, how the British used the media for mass psychological warfare. Even though it's talking about Great Britain, as you can see in the article, it is also used here in the United States. I know the secret of making the average American believe anything I want him to believe, says the author, who's quoting Hal Becker. You put something on television and it becomes reality. If the world outside the TV set contradicts the images, people start trying to change the world to make it like the TV set. Family, that's the la la land that I'm talking about. We're in that la la land. And that's the psychological war that they have accomplished on us. And we can't get past it, family. We can't get past it. If what we see, or if our lifestyle is not matching what is going on in the television set, social media, those Instagrams, even that, yes, the movies, we start making our lives match, look like, mirror what we see. We're under the illusion, family. And that's the thought control that I'm talking about. That article cites clearly. That's not no article where somebody's just talking off the top of their head. If you check out that article, go ahead and Google it, and it'll come up. You'll see that it's well documented. It has the footnotes. It has the bibliography. It has the research. It's letting you know, hey, there's a real psychological going on, and that's the thing that after reading that, I knew that something was going on. That gave me the impetus to really start this platform, according to the lie, and many other things that I've been doing in my research. But enough said there. So that's the thought control that we're under, that keeps us under the illusion with these clear people presenting to us that everything is fair. What's gone in the past, let the past be the past. That's not the case. So, let's get a little further in our conversation. How is this put into effect? Like as I said, we're in a cycle. A psychological warfare, the Psy-War, as they like to say. It's probably in some network production. It's the Psy-War, okay? And what's the Psy-War about? The Psy-War is this, family. The Psy-War deals with the lesser of two evils. Now, you've heard of this concept normally during the campaign season. They always come at you, well, it's the lesser of two evils, you know. Trump is real bad. He's really the worst. You know, he's an outright racist, but Biden is not. You know, he's changed. He's a better man. He's not the man that who authored the mass incarceration, who bragged and boasted about it. I'm going to cite that for you in just a moment. He's a better person. We normally get that discussion of the lesser of two evils around campaign season. But it's going on all the time. It's going on us as well as it's going on white folks. It is the conditioning of the people to accept things or accept proposal or accept conditions to deal with a worse condition. Now, if we accept this condition, well, it's not as bad as that other condition. I really believe this pandemic thing is about getting us conditioned to accept some worse conditions. Even I think we're going to have some pass laws, the good old South African pass laws happening here in the United States, where people are going to need a pass on their phone to move around the country. Hey, that's just me talking. But let's look at what the lesser of two evils is about. The lesser of two evils is this. It is a technique that tries to convince us of an idea or proposal by presenting it as the least offensive option. This technique is often implemented during wartime. We're in wartime, family, whether you believe it or not. There's a war going on. Many in the black media has been saying it. Those white militia are engaged in war, but we're in the la-la land. Okay, we don't see it, but here we go. Of the need to sacrifice or to justify a difficult decision. We need to sacrifice. We need to all take the shot. We all need to be locked up, locked down to make the nation better. Even though there might be some other elements causing this condition, how can we save ourselves from a disease that could go everywhere, at any time? But anyway, that's not. One moment was 16 feet, and then 6 feet, and then 3 feet. Which one could it be? Okay, let me get back on my point. This technique is often accompanied by adding blame on an enemy country. You said, what are you talking about, Mr. O? The enemy country? We're not in a war. Who's the enemy? We're the enemy, family. We are the enemy. We have been the enemy of this country since the foundation of the nation. The 3/5 clause of the Constitution made us the natural enemy of white people. It sanctioned the hate of us. It sanctioned the pseudoscience created by so-called European scholars that define us as inferior. We're the enemy. Okay, you don't get that, but okay, we'll discuss that a little bit. So I'm saying that it's been going on a little longer than we like to admit, but we're the clear people. We've gotten to the point where we think everything is fine. Okay, we want to blame it on the country enemy or political group. We're also the political group. Haven't you heard them during the campaign season talking about the black people as being leftist, extreme? Whenever they talk about extreme, they're talking about an enemy, psychological warfare. They're engaged in constant psychological warfare, and we can't get it. We can't seem to fathom the thought that these people would be doing these things to us and against us. We seem to think that we do, as Dr. John Henry Clark said, we like to transfer our humanity, how we conceive life and how we believe life ought to be, into others. And others do not share our humanity. Enough said on that. And so we're the enemy. We're the political group there that's isolated and marginalized and bottom cast, as Yvette Carnell. We're at the bottom cast of the class group. One idea or proposal is often depicted as one of the only options or paths. When confronted with this option, when we're confronted with this technique, the subject should consider the value of any proposal independently of those it is being compared with. Let's look at this thing. That's back on my main point. The attack on the black male. Okay. The anti-gang initiative. The initiative should be considered independent of anything else. Independent of what the outcome, the violence, the murder. Let's look at the proposal independently of anything else. My heart goes out to that family that was murdered, that suffered murder of the sibling teens in Clayton County. But we've got to look at this proposal and this now law independently. Okay? And I think I've discussed it enough. Okay? There are laws on the book to handle murder. What else does the governor need? Even the white person that actually supposedly this law is named after, that guy got 675 years. Can he really live that? But what else did the law really do? That's why we need to look at it independently of anything else. What the law actually did is now expanded the incarceration of black males down to 13 years of age. That's the fact. We've ushered in those no good Negroes. No, I shouldn't say that, because when I looked into the legislative activity when the House Bill 994 went down, a lot of black political people voted against it. But but the other group, our enemy, by and large, just voted for it. Okay, that's the fact. All right, we got to look at it independently. It opened up that door. And that's where I want to get into our discussion, family. So what is the discussion I'm having with you about? Let's get into moving away from this psych war. We're going to look at element 8 of our discussion. Element 8. Take this out right here. Bring out that. And bring in element 8 for us. What is element 8? And let me say this before we get over there, before we get out of there. Let me get over here. I need to say this to you. Family, because I'm that educated. Welcome to class. It's time for some teaching. Now let's get into element 8 of our discussion. Let's see. Element 8 is element 8 deals with, let me bring this up where I can see it. I need to get my eyes checked, family. Element 8. Why is there a need to create conditions to assign young black males as criminals for either being a gang member or associating with a known gang member. And then I put this thought there for you to think about: the decisive, punitive, destructive, deadly action that follows. Okay. Why is there always that need, family, to do that to us? They seem to like to assign us as criminals. We are the criminals. We are the terrorists. We are the enemy. But we don't want to acknowledge that truth. So I want to say to you, black males between the age of 15 to 39 was always seen as threat to white people and looked upon as criminals, okay? But thanks to the governor's new law, hey, in the state of Georgia, it's been extended down to 13. That's real talk, family. That's the problem. So we must question this thing right here. Right around the time the governor talking about his initiative, or the new Nicholas Shafee Act. It wasn't really designated as such, but okay, the anti-gang initiative. Why all of a sudden during that time that he started talking about that initiative? I want to go down memory lane. I got to help us remember, because the white media banks on the fact that you won't remember. At the time he started showcasing this thing, we got this onslaught of coverage about gang violence. Well, every criminal activity was related to a gang. Any kind of criminal activity, be it a car theft, burglary, somebody got knocked over the head, somebody jaywalking. The reporter would always get the repeater. I call him repeater. The reporter would always repeat what some law enforcement guy would say, is that, hey, the incident seems to be gang related. Okay, why did we get that onslaught? We got to go down memory lane. And the other thing, why are they relentless as labeling us as the face of gangs? Again, I shared with you in that one of my videos dealing with the gang face. If you was to go into YouTube and put a channel, the local channel there, even Savannah, once you hit YouTube and that station with it, it brings up you their reports on gangs, and literally 9 out of 10 would be black faces. Okay, so what's going on? What's going on? I want to get into my article. Like I said, this is a video essay from the start, and I like to share with you. So listen to what I'm saying to you. We must understand that the enemy, we have an enemy, and they see us as their enemy. So there's a reality there. The enemy is constantly engaged in psychological warfare. Being that they are in power and are the most violent savages on this planet. I know people don't want to hear that. I know that rubs some people wrong, but hey, this is an empirical statement. You can observe this fact anywhere. Wherever European has put their foot, as Dr. Amos Wilson likes to say, they have desecrated, demonized, and destroyed the natives of that land. And destroy meaning wipe them out or remove them out of their own culture. Put them on reservations, taking their land, taking their resources, and taking their wealth. Okay, that's a fact. So they are the savages on the planet. But they like to project or deflect from their savagery by pointing out or projecting it on others. And that's what we're dealing with right now. And they get away with it by legalizing their activity. They sanction it through laws. The anti-gang initiative law. It's the law. It's the law now to lock up, to charge a 13-year-old as an adult. Facing a serious 5 to 20-year crime. When again, gang activity is nothing new. Let's go again. I want you to look into history. I brought it up in another conversation. The Irish gangs of New York were some vicious gangs. Some serious psychopaths. Those people went to war for weeks. They had cannons. They would shoot the police when they came in. But suddenly, laws dealing with these people were created that took the youth out of being an adult, and the idea of juvenile, adolescent, delinquency was created. Different court system was created. Family court was created. A different system of trying to reformation reform schools were created. But here, when it seemed like it's a black thing, our only solution is to lock them up, lock them up, lock them up. That's death, family. That's death. And so they justify it. Why are they doing this? I think. Well, they're doing this mainly because they are fully aware of one fact, family. That's dealing with that point there. There's this major issue that they're confronting with. Decreasing birth rates among white women is real. They've been aware of their decreasing birth rates since the 1990s. Seems like 1990s is very important. Okay, let me get back to that too. The 1990s, they've been aware. They know their numbers are decreasing. Black and Latino women are having their birth rate are greater than white women. I would surmise it's like an 8-to-2 ratio when you combine both groups. But I'm not a statistician, so I'm not going to get solid on that. But they know that soon they will be the minority if they're not already so. Because again, we're dealing with a lie here. This whole construct is, as Dr. Amos Wilson likes to say, is a construct of false consciousness. Everything is turned backwards. Everything is in the reverse so that our minority can rule the planet as well as rule in other places that they put their foot. And truly, if we get the illusion that they're the majority, I'm sure they're the majority. They are the majority. And that's the funny thing. Let's look at this stimulus money that's going on. With something like 13%, something like 35 million people to the 350 million people in the United States. That means a lot of stimulus check went to a lot of white people. Okay, more white people got a stimulus check than black people. Clear. That's just basic numbers. But again, they're aware of their birth rate. They're decreased. And they're going to be the minority very soon. So what has to be done to protect valuable resources? Limited resources, limited government resources, limited public resources, limited capital. The scheme has to be designed to deal with that, family. A scheme has to be designed to deal with that. And that's where I want to get into this point right here. That's very important that we understand that whenever these people, white people in the government, get on any kind of crusade, the nature of their criminal crusades, the nature of their morality crusade, like in the past, has been a plan for death and destruction. It's let me get it right. I want to say it just like I put it there because I love the way I put it. It's so smooth. The nature of government, white people criminal crusades are always backwards. They look at effects as causes and plans for death and destruction. That's the thing I need you to take from what we're putting down here. The need to assign black people as criminal is always backwards. They don't look at the cause. They look at the effects. They isolate the effects and try to assign that as the actual attribute of the group. And then they go on a serious rampage of destruction, death, killing. Like the crusade. And you say, who's killing who? Well, when you lock somebody up, their spirit is killed, okay? The mass incarceration locked up millions of black people thanks to Joe Biden, and a lot of spirits were killed. I don't need to deal with that. That's what it is. All right. So that's the nature of their crusades. The nature of any of their crusades is backwards. It don't deal with the fact that, one, what caused the people to be in this condition. It doesn't deal with the bias in an injustice, so-called justice system. It doesn't deal with police profiling. It doesn't deal with targeting individuals. It doesn't deal with roadblocks set up, and when a simple Clarkston police officer see a black person drive by, he decides to zoom in behind that person. It doesn't deal with that reality whatsoever. While Becky and Jim Bob, Bubba, they get to cruise on by, riding by with joints and 50 pounds of meth in the car. Okay, it doesn't deal with that. It deals with the effects, and then they had to count noses, count heads, and say, "See, I told you, we got more black people locked up or charged with a crime, so they have a criminal nature." When the reality is based on the FBI reports, the FBI UCR Uniform Criminal Report, Uniform Crime Report, more white people commit crimes, are charged with crime. but yet somehow their charges evaporate, seem to slip through the cracks. And in all states, you will see a reverse, the backwards going on. You see the minority population as the majority in their prisons and county and city jails. No matter, that's even true in cities that are supposedly run by black officials. So the system is in place. It was set up since the foundation of this nation. We are the enemy. It is still going on. You say leave the past in the past. We're dealing with a society that has constructed itself on the death and destruction and the elimination of black people, the use of black people, and then after the so-called emancipation, they didn't expect us to make it. They expected us to go crazy, and as leads me into my next point. Do we think this is that? Why do we think we in La La Land? And is this just happening? You know, this is always happening, which has us confused in La La Land because we can't see that it's something that is a continuum. It just didn't start. It's always been going on. And so let me look at some words I want you to consider. I like being that educator and put these words up here on the board, my nice little whiteboard for you to consider about what we're talking about. Just like to outline some words: associating, the Georgia General Assembly House Bill 994, the Anti-Gang Initiative, the Street Gang Terrorism Prevention Act. Just words to put in front of you. What's going on? What's going on, family? There's a war on the black man. There's a war on the black man, and we need to recognize that there's a war on the black man. Again, I want to repeat, it didn't start now. Let me clean off my whiteboard and bring these up for you. It didn't just start now. This war has been going on for a long time. I'm going to go back just in a little recent history for us because we kind of, we got a limited memory. I like to say this country has always outlawed the progress of the descendants of U.S. slavery, ADOS. They've outlawed our progress. They've outlawed our access to the American dream. And like George Carlin says, I like repeating that white comic. He was on point with it. We're not in the club. It's a big club, and you're not in it. We're not in it. And some of them have realized they're not in it. And that's why it's called a dream, he goes on and says by the end of that clip. It's a dream because, hey, when you wake up, it's a real nightmare. That's what's going on. Look at how they've outlawed our progress. We're going to go back and look at the era around World War II. After the servicemen get home from World War II, they're promised these, military benefits for their service. Who gets the access? We see the white men sitting around the table getting the information for government, VA loans on education and starting businesses, and the black men are pushed to the back. People who made a sacrifice, but yet they're not included in this great, access. They're left out. That citizenship is denied, but it's fully granted. And what is this? This leads to? Well, this money that's pouring out, going back to let's say, during the Great Depression, they created the FHA, Federal Housing Authority, trying to get money going to help people buy homes. But in the process, the government itself gets in the game of outlawing the progress of the descendants of U.S. slavery. They made it regulation, which is law, that denied grants, the government securing the loans made by private institutions. They say, hey, no, there'll be no funds available for black people wanting to move in white neighborhoods, and just black people, period. They just didn't get the loans. What they got was contracts on a house, not a mortgage that allowed them the tax benefits, but a contract. And that is, if they missed anything, they lost the house, and had no equity and had no say in the house. It just was a regular old contract, which is still what a mortgage is. That's the game that they play. So, but in a redlining, and let's look at the thought pattern, the idea of how they looked at us. This is how they treated us. This is how they conceived us. This is how they thought of us. And the best person to look at it, who symbolized the thought of white people and how they looked at us, is this good old mayor, the no good mayor of Baltimore way before they helped surmise and cement the redlining concept that goes back to 1910. Let me pull him in real quick so you can see there's no good mayor. These, we're gonna put it. Did I put it already? Check it out. Look at the thoughts of the mayor. Look at what he said when a law was passed to, come on up, to so quarantine. That's what he said. Let's quarantine. That's the idea behind redlining, really. I said the forerunner of redlining. Blacks should be quarantined in isolated slums in order to reduce the incident of civil disturbance, to prevent the spread of communicable diseases into the nearby white neighborhoods, and to protect property value among the white majority. Redlining had got underway way before. We see it really at its a greater impact by the end of World War II and into the 1960s. They've always had this idea of quarantining us into groups or into areas, into selected places. No different from being on a reservation. We are on a reservation. Even here in Metro Atlanta, we're on a reservation. Black people are grouped in certain areas while there's a ring of suburbia around us that is flowing as an oasis with private capital, public capital going into whatever areas they go into. The Beltway is being produced mainly to attract white people back into the city of Atlanta. And the Beltway was built around affluent white communities way before they get into the black community. As of this day, right now, they're still not building. They're just getting around to building the so-called belt line, this sidewalk going around the city into the black area. Same as what's going on with this insane asylum of building roads. More and more roads, express lanes out of suburbias into the city. Look at the mass billions of dollars being poured to bring white people into a certain commercial area so they can benefit from the commerce and the prosperity of the development in those areas, and yet get them back to the suburb. Let me bring my face back there to your family. I just needed you to see that. But wait a minute before I bring my face back. Let's go on down and see what it led to. It's going to talk about it, what it actually led to. This article was produced as a result of the Baltimore riots, and we're going to get into what I was saying about the Federal Housing Authority, where the government sponsored organization created during the New Deal. The FHA insured mortgage loans, the things that I said. Let me go on down where this article documents verbatimly. The FHA initial guidelines explicitly excluded blacks from obtaining bank mortgages from homes in white neighborhoods. They outlawed our progress. They locked us out. Locked us out of success. There it is right there in your face, family. Specifically. And so what it led to? It led to us being pushed in slums, denied access to great, so I would say, schooling, educational facility, denied access to hospitals, denied access to, meaning healthcare, good healthcare. Again, this is the nature of the beast, our enemy. And yet we are in la la land here. We are in la la land. Let me get out of this. I just wanted you to see it. I wanted you to see it. As a result of these policy, black ghettos formed. While most whites could move out of the cities into the suburbs, blacks often had no choice but to stay in overpopulated, poor urban areas and endure exploitative process. You can read which is what's going on now. We're sitting here like a labor pool to be used by the dominant society, white people. And that's the game. That's the need to assign us as criminal. I'm getting to that. I want you to see it. That's why there's a need to assign us as criminals, family. So what do we see here? We see that they've outlawed our progress. I know I shouldn't be going too long, but there it is. Let me hurry up and push on through this. I'm still just a little bit more to go. Why there's a need to do this? I want you to see. And did this just start now? No, it didn't just start now. Let's go back a little further about this, family. Hold on a second. Look how they criminalize, assign criminality or our behavior. Okay, okay. Look at this. Look at this, family. I want you to see it. The vagrancy law. It goes back. This ain't nothing new. The vagrancy laws, family. The vagrancy laws. Look at the vagrancy laws that was created. The Memphis vagrancy laws. What did it do? After the Civil War, the 4 million black Americans who had been enslaved encountered numerous new forms of authority, most of which seemed to promise protection, but it really was something backwards. What was it backwards, family? Basically, we were emancipated. As Alta Max said, you got freedom to go. Go where? They left the plantation. They didn't own any home. They didn't own any property. They had no job. They had no way of making a living. No means to support themselves. So mass of people were walking the highways and byways, the side of the trails that we now celebrate to go along, which used to be slave trails. To get the Fugitive Slave Patrol would bring people back to the plantation on these roads that we are celebrating being along, these scenic roads. Anyway, that's another discussion. Read the book. The half has never been told about slavery. A lot of these so-called roads we like to enjoy was basic slave patrol roads. Okay, but anyway, and go where? So vagrancy laws was used to what? Incarcerate them, lock them up. They looked at them as criminals and locked them up and put them back into slavery as a convict. That's what this was. And it started there? No, I said it already. We go back to the Constitution of the United States. It made us the natural enemy of white people and designated us as criminal when we tried to escape slavery, which was the purpose of the Fugitive Slave Patrol. Private contracts was enforced by the U.S. government, as Dr. Amos Wilson would say, a criminal enterprise. The mafia government of the United States would enforce the private contracts of returning a slave to the slave owner. And if the slave kept trying to escape, he was deemed a criminal. Assigning criminality to us. Let me get my face back in there, family. I know I didn't mean to stay there that long on you. The outlaw of our progress is nothing new. Malcolm X has said it as well. This is something that he's always done, and we're trying to convince ourselves that he doesn't do this. It's nothing new. This is what he's always done. Let me get out of this. So, how do they benefit? They benefit from it. Hey, that felony charge, those prior charges, they benefit from it from the context that they now have a nice, cheaper labor pool because these people got assigned this criminal background check happening on them. They now are felons, and they are faced with the charge. As I said, if 50 some odd counties in Georgia is now charging a person with associating, which is not the law, associating with a known gang member, whatever that means, they got this charge that they're looking at. They have to put up bail money. They have to do all of this stuff to gain their, to get out of jail, and then hire an attorney. Okay, now when they go trying to get a job, they wondering if they mark, have you ever been charged? Have you ever been arrested? Have you ever been charged with a crime? Whether or not they should answer that truthfully in order to gain a living, to earn some money. That's really puddling through their mind. I say that in that context of the way I'm saying it because that's the thought pattern happening in our young men and our young women when they're dealing with this injustice system. How am I going to make it? So, let me share with you a study done by Arizona State looking at what? Let me get this up here. This is a study by Arizona State. It's a study by Arizona State dealing with priors, people who had priors, and what are their chances of getting a job hired after a prior. Okay, I'm going to get down here. The study looks at that and what are their opportunities. Look at table 9. I don't want to read all of it. You can Google this and see it yourself. Look at the number of years between being released from prison and hiring an ex-offender. Charged with violent crime. The violent gangbanger, the drug gangbanger. The vandalizing graffiti gangbanger. Okay, that's what's happening here. It's, the number of sponsors who would never hire a job applicant who had been in prison for this crime. Look at this. We're talking about 66% of the group for violent crime, 27% of the group for drug crime, and 35% of the group for property crime. The assigning of criminal designation on us is with purpose. And so what do you have? You see it. You see it all the time when going past those Home Depots or some commercial district, and there's these people sitting on the side looking for someone to hire them, to give them a job, to go cut the grass, to do some menial labor around the house to just gain a little money. They benefit from us being locked out of the progress of America, or the outlaw of our progress, locked out of the American dream, as I like to say. Okay, they are the ones benefiting from this, family. So let's look at those words that they put in our faces to deal with. Let's look at those words. I want to look at the words again. Let me put my face back up there for you, family. Sorry about that. Let's look at those words. They want to deal with us. Associates and associated. It's important that we deal with them. I got to deal with them because I want to look at the Google version of the word. Let's look at the Google version of the word. When you Google associate, it says a partner or colleague in business or at work, a person with limited the subordinate membership of an organization. That's when you just Google it. Now, when it comes to law, I like to deal with the law version of the word. The law version of the word is this, family. The law version of the word is this. And that's the Black Laws Dictionary, 3rd edition. I like those old books I said, and the Supreme Court used some kind of French law dictionary too. But it too defines associate as a partner in interest, an officer of the English courts. I've shared this with you before. So this person has basically accepted an appointment and committed to being a partner in the organization. Associating is not accepting the partnership. Associating, as I've explained so many times before, is like, again, you walk in a bank, you're not a partner of the bank, you are associating with the bank. So you're not associates with the bank, you are associating with the bank to cash your check. Me talking with someone on the sidewalk or walking down the street with them or riding even in their car with them doesn't mean I'm an associate of theirs. I may be associating with it. And that's what the law calls for, is that the law calls for them to definitely do some investigation. Prior investigation has to be done with bona fide facts that establish that this person is an associate or associates of the gang. And again, if we really need this kind of law, but here, to deal with this, I think the laws on the book deal with it enough. But enough said that. There's the distinction. Yet the police have decided to give themselves police power beyond the scope of what's actually in the law, and decide to write in there them for themselves what they can do. They've given themselves extra power. And again, that is not in there. That's my main point of doing that with your family, is that they've given themselves extra power. So what do we have happening here? This is the nature of, shall we say, this is the nature. Let me get my words out of there. There we go. Make sure we got that. This is the nature of their criminal crusades. It's always backwards. It's always looking at effects with plans for death and destruction. That's how backwards that thought this state is in this country. We're living in a backwards state and a backwards country that do things in the reverse because it needs to be done in the reverse so that they can continue to rule. Our downcast, our bottom cast, our criminality makes it, that even takes it back to slavery, friend, to the Jim Crow period, to the segregation. By keeping us as the bottom slave caste, it makes a cohesive economic power force for white people. That's really the nature of their criminal crusade, family. And we are in la la land and we don't even see it. Let me move on and get further into what I need you to understand about it, family. And wrap this up. So, what has this new law done? It's basically done this, family. It has put, remember, it has put it put. Let me get that over here. Bring it up. It has basically put in three. Let's bring that over. I want you to see this. It has basically put the Street Gang Terrorism Act on steroids, and thus, look. Let me read it. I like how I got it there. Georgia General Assembly House Bill 994 accelerates the Street Gang Terrorist Prevention Act and puts police profiling on steroids, family. That's what we see happen. That's what we see happen. That's what we see happening. It puts it on steroids. Look at this happening right here. I know I need to push it on in and get this done. I hope you find this interesting. Now we see the cops stopping the two young boys. As the law probably indicates, the officer will say, I observed the suspect wearing identifying clothing or matching clothing, and I stopped him to question them. These young people are just being raised in the South. You know what they think? They think it's okay that they stop and answer the question of the officer and cooperate with them because they've been raised in this good Southern hospitality and black folks' home of being respectful and Christian-minded and obeying. And he doesn't think he shouldn't know that he can say, hey, I don't have to answer your questions. I have a right to an attorney. If you have a question for me, I want an attorney present. No, I don't consent to your search. But he's been raised in that Christian environment where he's thinking, it's okay. He got to go along with it. And so there he's consenting, not knowing that he has the right to say, no, I'm not going to answer your questions. No, you cannot search me. If you have questions for me, I want an attorney present. But no, he's been raised in that Christian environment that many of us have in the South of cooperating and being respectful. And he doesn't understand that it's okay to be respectful and also be able to say no and not cooperate. But that's what. And so what are the next thing we see happening, family? We see these things going down with us thanks to this law. It is accelerating it. You may not be aware of it because you're in La La Land. You're part of the clear people that think America is overcome. We're all in this together. Nothing's wrong. This can't be happening. But I'm telling you, family, if the 50 some odd counties in Georgia has one person facing a charge, that's 50 some odd young people too many. That's mass incarceration. I just got to put the numbers in front of you just like that. So that's what's going on. And it basically leads to that. That's what's going on, family. Get that out of there. Let me bring me back. Oh, come on, back over here. I want to be. So that's what's going on, family. We need to understand that. That's what's going on. Take out 3. Take out. Okay, that's what's going on. And so, literally, we see this. That's the greater impact of House Bill 994, which is now law. The lesser of two evils, incarcerating 13-year-olds with adults. Well, oh, they're dangerous. They're violent. We can't accept no evil, family. Stokely Carmichael told us that back in when he was with us. You know, I thought Christians didn't accept any evil. This is evil. Period. I don't accept a 13-year-old being arrested and charged as an adult and facing 5 to 20 years. No, I don't. Especially when you know that when you created juvenile court, when you created delinquency, when you created adolescence, you did it to deal with violent gangs. But now all of a sudden you want to change it. Now all of a sudden, it's so bad. It was hard. Those Irish gangs shot and killed our Metropolitan Police. The paddy wagon was invented for the gangs that would take over and rum the whole neighborhood and whole sections of the city. Okay, real talk, family. But we're not. We're letting all of this slip past us as we think we're all in this together. We're all into this together. I would show you House Bill, but I've gotten over my time. Let me deal with the final part of where I met with this family and get out of this. Let's go ahead and deal with the people who have really put this down on us. And that we look at these people for who they are. Let's go on to get into my last segment right here. Let's switch over to there. Who do these people see? Just make sure I see myself here. Who are these people seeing when they think of these initiatives? Look how they act after they do it too. Who do you think they see when they put these kind of laws together? And then after they put the laws together, they want to make us think, there's that la la land, there's that reverse, there's that backwardsness. They have to play a game on us. Then they have them no good Negro preachers that go along with them, and those no good Negro politicians that go along with them. They have to play a game on us, family. Look how he acts. Look at what he says. Old Bubba Clinton, after the law done went down, he says this nonsense right here. Let me bring it where I can see it, family, as well. Look what he says. I signed a bill that made the problem worse. Clinton told the audience of the National Association of Advancement of Colored People, which is a group that's not on our side. And I want to admit it. That's all they want to do is just admit it. Yeah, the 3 strikes. Look at the law. The I need to drink some water. The omnibus crime bill that Clinton signed included federal 3 strikes. That gave, and 3 strikes, many brothers got 25 years. Their life was destroyed. Their life was destroyed. Their life was destroyed. Their family life was destroyed. And many of them are nonviolent offenses. Many of them was just petty theft of possession. Their criminal crusades are meant for our demise, family. Let me get that Bubba out of here. Let me bring myself back here, get Bubba out, and deal with it again. We're talking about what? What is the meaning behind these people? The meaning behind these people is simply this, and I think Amos Wilson is basically right to say it this way: a death wish. They have a death wish for us. That death wish is they wish that we were not alive. They've been trying to label the black youth a terrorist since the 1990s. The war on terror was not with 9/11. It went back to the first strike on the World Trade Center. And with that, no good preachers the gangbangers running rampant in all the cities. It seemed like a new phenomenon. And all of a sudden, every city got its own street gang terrorist group. You just Google it, you'll see every major city has a street gang group, a street gang unit in the police department that's dealing with the terrorist group. And they get us to go along with it and bamboozle us. The lesser of two evils that leads to assigning a criminal designation on our back that locks us out of the American dream and outlaws who I really don't care for the American dream, but it outlaws our own progress for ourselves, for our family. They have a death wish for us, family. That's what I want to get to. Look at who do they see? They don't see themselves. Let me show you they see them. They see. Is that the right one? Give it a bus. Wrong one. Here we go. Look what they see. Let me see it again. Look at lock the son of a bitches up is what this man says. He don't see his family. He don't see his family. He don't see Becky. He don't see John. When he's saying lock the son of a bitches up. No, he doesn't see those people, family. No, he don't see those people. And in fact, look what he said. Let me get to that paragraph. The truth is, he started lying when he started running for office, and he's still lying today. The truth is, Mr. Biden had boasted a year earlier, this is the time of this article, on the Senate floor, how every major crime bill since 1976 that come out of this country, every minor crime bill has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden. This man is the author, architect, the engineer of mass incarceration, and we are in la la land to think that he still isn't. But he doesn't see. He doesn't see him. He doesn't see himself or his family as a problem on crime. Let me share this with you. This is not to disparage anybody, but they still call him Malcolm X a criminal, a thug, even after his death. They still referring to Malcolm X Take that out. Bring me over. It's a death wish, family. It's a death wish. They're still referring to Malcolm X as a thug even after his death, family. So you see how they can hold things against us, but we can't hold things against them. Look at he doesn't see his family. He doesn't see white people when they write laws like this. His family should have been facing should be locked up at this time based on the law that he wrote. This disparaging between cocaine and crack, the rock cocaine, and the disparaging between the powder. Yeah. And the 3 strikes. At this point, this person should be still sitting behind bars somewhere, just not coming out. Not somehow, but their criminal crusades are never aimed at themselves. They are aimed at us. They're aimed at us, family. I know I've spent a long, belabored the time in getting in this. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I have to play it one more time. I know I play it all the time. Let me bring it. You say, do you have to say it? Yeah, I have to say it. It's a good piece to say it, too. I'd never give up on saying it. Sharing it with you. Look at it. Listen to this man.
And left-wingers in my party who say, no, that's not what we should do. But politically, that consensus has been arrived at. I acknowledge there was not that consensus in the 60s. There is today.
There's a consensus. There's a political agreement. I discussed this before. There's a political agreement. There's a consensus. Is it a conspiracy or purpose? Well, when people are meeting and deciding to do things, and sometimes they're doing different things, but all the things that they're doing have the same outcome or have this end result, sounds like purpose, not conspiracy. These people purposely being our enemy, and they have a plan for us, and we're just in la la land. Let him finish this.
There's a second thing that we all have agreed upon, and that is unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I give myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized, they literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. Not out of a liberal instinct for love, brother, and humanity, although I think that's a good instinct, but for simple, pragmatic reasons. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created.
That's what I wanted you to hear, family. The nature of their criminal crusades are backwards. He gets to the end to say it. He gets to the end to say it. But he said it clearly for us to see and to understand. The nature of their criminal crusades are always backwards, family. They're backwards in the context of... Yep, that's back over here. Let me put that back over here. The nature of their criminal crusades are always backwards. Let me bring that up. And I wanted to show me. Let me switch out of there. Bring me back over there. There we go. The nature of their criminal crusades are always backwards, family. He said it. In part because society created them. Our neglect. Well, neglect and that dastardly cover for all the things they deliberately do. They lie. Our neglect. No, it's not neglect. It's what they deliberately do. They've deliberately done. They deliberately put in motion. I can go in so much, but I went a long time. I'm going to go ahead and close this out for you. Thank you so much for listening to me. And this is what I'm about. So I want to go ahead and get out of this. Bring this over here like this. I want you to know when you understand why I do what I'm doing. Get this right here. There we go. It's on you to do this, family, not on anybody else. We don't have time to worry about anybody else. It's on you to be aware. Share that. This is what this topic has been about. Again, this is about the attack on the black man. I want you to see that title. Share this video. This has been my video essay for you. Share it. Remember, again, this is really happening in the state of Georgia, and we have to take it seriously and look into doing something about it to protect ourselves. Okay? This is why they are assigning us as criminals, because we are the enemy. Enough said with that. Let me get out of this. And